What's up guys? June here, and in this video we are going to run through some of the strategies and methods for collecting the gold rocks for the new rendition of the Shattered Heart minigame that was released with the Elven City. I want to apologize in advance if I have sort of a crappy vocal tone in this video. I'm on the recovering end of a cold, but I've been away from YouTube for a whole week from this, and I'm anxious to get back and start giving you guys content, so I hope you can enjoy the video and get some good information from it anyway. So let's talk to Oren and grab ourselves a statue collection bag to store the rocks in and get started. Before we get started, there are two important mechanics to know about the rate at which you will receive gold rocks. The first of these is that anytime you receive a gold rock, your chance of obtaining the second gold rock in that skill is reduced by 50% until you receive a gold rock from a different skill. This means you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of actions if you rotate skills between every rock. If, for example, you get an agility rock and then follow it with a Dungeoneering rock and then another agility and the second Dungeoneering rock, you're going to, on average, take way less time than if you try to do both agility rocks together and then both Dungeoneering rocks together. I did a few rotations without knowing about this mechanic, and let me tell you, it is hideous, so definitely don't take this for granted. The second mechanic is that whenever the Voice of Saren is active in one of the Elven sectors, the two skills associated with that clan have a double chance of giving gold rocks. So currently there are only 4 clans open and only 8 skills have this bonus, but when the remainder of the city opens in November, all of the skills will, and I'm sure you'll want to utilize this for agility and construction definitely, and currently you can use it to enhance your chances with farming, which is good because farming is one of the more painful ones because of the time constraints on patch growing. Now, with that said, I want to add a little disclaimer to this video. Some of these methods will no doubt be obsolete when the remainder of the city opens. For example, I'm sure there's going to be a better agility method. So take that into consideration if you're watching this video far in the future and there is some overpowered agility training strategy that offers tons of actions per minute in the city. Try that out first. And with that said, let's get started on the individual rocks. There's nothing particularly special about acquiring the agility rocks. One important thing to remember is that they can only be awarded for completing an agility course lap, so while it might be compelling to run back and forth across a log shortcut to get a large number of actions, you cannot receive golden rocks that way. So it's best to do whatever agility course is the best experience for you. The completion time for a lap is pretty standard for all the courses, so just do whatever gives you the best experience. You can see I'm at the wilderness course because I have several pairs of brawlers to use up, but you could use the advanced gnome course or barbarian course, or if you're looking for something short, just run around the standard gnome course. There are no particular tricks for the Slayer rocks. You can use a lower leveled master to complete tasks faster and get faster kills to give yourself more action chances per minute, but I'm interested in 120 Slayer, so I continue to use Morvrin, and instead of using a fast task sort of thing to boost efficiency, I instead have preferred a few different tasks which have multiple different combat options, so I can sort of tie the melee magic and ranged rocks into doing these tasks. So for example, Glaciers have a chance to give all 3 rocks, and elves, you can select which elves you fight, and the same with the automatons, depending on which of those rocks you need. Other than that, there are no tips or tricks there. Now, chances are you will not receive all of your combat and prayer rocks through Slayer. So, my favorite place to go for these is just north of where you complete the monthly Troll Invasion D&D, in this little cave here. In the western chamber are level 1 melee using trolls, in the north chamber are ranged using trolls, and in the east chamber are magic using trolls. And all of them drop bones, so as long as you've got a bone crusher with you, this is a great place to hunt all 3 combat rocks as well as the prayer rocks. You can rotate around, and as you whittle down the number of rocks that you need, if maybe you only have one style left, you may have to start world hopping if you don't want to wait for the spawns, because they can take up to 30 seconds depending on how quickly you kill all of them. I suggest using a ranged or magic weapon, because otherwise running around all these obstacles is a little bit painful, but this is a very, very efficient way to get all of these in one stop. The construction rocks are a painful set to get. The only way to acquire these is to build furniture of some kind. You can do it the classic way by building and destroying furniture on hotspots, or you can make flat pack furniture with a beast of burden, which I find a little bit more bearable and definitely more AFK, so it gives you a little bit of relaxation. But the rates are pretty slow, and it's not uncommon to use 1,000 or 2,000 planks to get a set of rocks, so be prepared for that. The Dungeoneering strange rocks are probably the most painful set to get. They're very slow. The fastest way to do that is to complete Complexity 1 dungeons. You can get a team together to speed your times up if you want, but even solo it only takes between 1 and 2 minutes to complete a floor. You don't need to leave floors between to get the rocks. You'll get them as soon as you enter the interface at the end of the dungeon that gives you the readout on the experience you've gained. So you can just continue from one to the others. Other than that, there's no special strategy. They're very time consuming and they're unpleasant. The Divination rocks are pretty straightforward. All of the different wisp tiers have exactly the same rate of actions. So generally I prefer to use Elder Wisps because it's really easy to get here. If you've got a 6th age circuit, you can use that to teleport directly to the World Gate, and from the World Gate you can enter directly to the Elder Halls. If you don't have access to these, I'd recommend going to whatever is the quickest for you to get to, or if you're interested in experience, whatever the highest tier that you're able to harvest from is. Other than that, no advantage to choosing any one over the other, but the rocks are pretty quick, so there's nothing too important there. The way that you acquire the farming rocks will depend largely on how you're planning to utilize the new Shattered Heart system. If you're going to be doing these rotations several times per day in an attempt to complete the statue in the max guild in the littlest time possible, you're going to want to utilize both allotments along with herbs. If you're just doing this for sort of an extra experience thing or for like a once a week thing, you can get your farming rocks just from herb runs, and that's going to give you better experience and better money gain for your time. I'm personally doing this to get the soon-to-be trim requirement out of the way as quickly as possible. So I'm doing allotments. I have snape grass. The seeds are super cheap now because they're a loot from the Crewis elves. Farming rocks are still one of the painful ones to get, just because farming's a sort of time-limited thing. So you want to utilize the Voice of Saren being in the Crewis sector if possible. It's still a possibility you won't get it in one run, and so you'll have to wait a few hours to do that again, and this can kind of make or break the speed of your Golden Rocks run. The Herblore rocks are one of the easier pairs. The fastest way to acquire these is just to clean grimy herbs. You can make profit with most of them, so you're not going to lose any money or anything. If you're really after experience in Herblore, you can also make potions that's equally fast, but you will lose money that way, so that choice is up to you. The mining rocks are a particularly fast pair. My preferred method for acquiring them is mining Saren stones, which is not only great experience, but in the entire 20 some odd rotations of gold rocks that I've done, I don't think I've ever had to mine more than 10 corrupt ore in order to get a rock. So it's very fast and very reliable, and you can use the corrupt ore that you mine later on to get the smithing rocks. The smithing and crafting rocks are optimally done in tandem. The first thing you should do is smelt any corrupt ore you got while acquiring the mining rocks, but after that buy yourself some gold ore, and you can smelt the gold ore into bars for a chance to acquire the smithing rocks, and then casting the gold bars into gold jewelry of some sort has a chance to yield the crafting rocks. Now they're a little slower than the mining ones, and the rates are not always the same, so you may also need to buy some gold bars to offset that, but that's up to you. The summoning rocks are very easy. Now you cannot get them from summoning familiars or for using scrolls. A lot of people were trying that early on, and I still see that suggested sometimes because it offers a lot of actions per minute, but you cannot receive rocks that way. The only way to acquire them is by infusing pouches. And another thing I see suggested a lot is they tell people to make one pouch at a time. That is not good advice. The game will recognize how many pouches you made and input that entry number of actions, and so you're just wasting your time if you make one pouch at a time. But luckily they're very quick. You can usually get both rocks in 1 to 2 inventories. You could do something cheap like terror birds. I'm making magpies just because I've got a surplus of gold rings from doing the smithing and crafting rocks. But whatever fits your wealth and playstyle. You could also do this just for experience, make something good, whatever you like. The woodcutting rocks are a pretty quick one to knock off. Usually I just chop ivy in the shop on the Crewist platform. You can also use the skill teleports in the Max Cape Guild to get quick access to the active crystal tree, which I think is a little bit more rewarding and better experience, but a little bit more effort also. So that is totally up to you, but both methods are very quick. The pair should only take 5 to 10 minutes. When you've filled up your statue collection bag, you can right-click and empty the rocks out and add them to the plinth in the Tower of Voices in Prifddinas. For each of the sets of combat rocks, you'll be offered an option to choose which skill the experience is applied to. And so click on those. And when you're all finished, the statue will disintegrate, and another replica piece will be applied to the statue in the Maxed Guild. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and comment, subscribe, rate it, whatever, and I will see you next time.